Hello?
Are you okay?
I'm fine.
You look like your back's killing you.
My back's always killing me. I have my good days and I have my bad days. But what kills me the most is the cost of my healthcare and maintenance. And then on the really bad days when I break down, the cost of seeing doctors and consultants. So, now that I think about it, I'm like an old ERP. Thanks for that. But I wish I was young and resilient like you are.
Yeah, I'm modern. I go to the gym. I do yoga. I follow the best practices, which makes me efficient and resilient. Now that I think about it, I think you can call me Generation S4.
Yeah, to be young again. I wish I had the opportunity to grow all over again.
Well, do you plan on retiring?
You're probably right. I should let you grow and I should just retire, right?
Well, you can't leave without telling me everything you know.
Like an old ERP, I'll be around longer than you think. So I'll be here for you.
Well, you've done a lot of great things back in your day, but I think now you need to set aside and, because it's my turn, because it's Gen S4's turn.
Yeah, that's just true. So you go, girl. Grow.
Okay, speaking of growing.
Oh, yes. Speaking of growing, as you all know, we're here today to discuss growing with SAP.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to S2Connect.
So my name is John Hughes. I'm the Director of Sales for North America.
I'm Nishita Challa, the AI and Analytics Lead at ST Integrators.
And we are going to get things started with some keynote speakers.
But before that, I know Atlanta airport and traffic can be quite a challenge. So before we begin, I would like to give a big thanks to all of our customers, SAP, our partners, and of course our S2 family for taking out the time to be with us today. And with that, let's get this summit started. And behind me, you would find a QR code to the agenda for today, which would include, we would start off with the keynote address and then go into multiple breakout sessions. So with that, I would like to start with our keynote address. And we are very excited, and with all our pleasure, we'd like to introduce our first speaker.
Sure. It's with great pleasure that I get to introduce our first keynote speaker from SAP. I'm actually going to read off the sheet because Angel Cruz Pereira has accomplished a lot with SAP and has been there for a long time. He serves as the Global Vice President at SAP, where he leads cloud business transformations and leverages over 2 decades of experience with SAP solutions. Specializing in Grow with SAP and SAP HANA Public Cloud Edition, he directs the S4 HANA Cloud Product Marketing team in developing strategies that enhance sustainable businesses, processes across global organizations. So let's give a hand to Angel.
Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Very good. That's better. So thank you for attending today. Welcome to S2Connect. I'm going to talk about Grow with SAP. But let me open with the problem statement that we are trying to answer. This is impossible. Because what happens is that we meet with many of your peers and we discuss what are the reasons that are pushing them to the digital transformation, such lack of transparency or concern with the digital security, outgrowing the disconnected processes, outgrowing the system, or lack of agility. And then, like we are doing today, we explain what is the value proposition of Grow with SAP and S4HANA Cloud Public Edition. And that's when it hits them. This is impossible. How one cloud ERP can help solve it all. So if you relate to any of these issues today, or many of these issues today, you are in the right place. I'm going to talk about Grow with SAP, the value proposition of Grow with SAP, and I'm going to start with the product strategy. This is our SAP portfolio strategy slide. We call it the sunrise slide. Maybe not a very good name, but. So as you can see at the bottom, we have the cloud ERP with the best practices out of the 50 years of experience from SAP, underpinned by the technology platform, the business technology platform, SAP BTP. And what we do is, I'm sure you have heard about Clean Core. Who has heard about the Clean Core strategy from SAP? All right. So what that means is that in this new era of ERPs, the idea is that we go faster, leaner, smoother, if we stick to the 50 years of experience, best practices, we call them scope items from SAP, and then we extend the solution and integrate the solution in the now, let's say, multi-cloud landscape that we are in front of, to then go to that differentiating factor, give you the competitive advantage that you now have. So on top of that, Clean Core and the platform to extend the solution, what we have is what we call the industry solutions. And those are LOB solutions from SAP, such as SuccessFactors for HR, Concur for travel, Ariba for procurement, that are then bringing your networks. For example, the Ariba network, where with your contracts and your partners, you go and, let's say, accelerate the way you interact, streamline the way you buy and procure services and products from them. On top of that, we have the, let me see what it was, the ecosystem solutions, in this case S2 integrators, that are going to generate additional IP solutions that will help extend the functionality that comes with SAP, that standard functionality, those best practices, to better fit your industry or sub-industry. And finally, of course, 2024, AI-powered business process, where SAP, and as we'll see later, non-SAP technology, help you shorten, automate those processes and make sure they are tight and the user limits their interaction to what is the error or the connections. So how do we go to the market with this SAP portfolio strategy? We go to the market with two flavors. The first one is Rise with SAP. And Rise with SAP is an offering that's mainly for our installed base, so companies that are already running SAP solutions, and they want to come to the cloud at their own pace. They want to control the solution. And they want to tailor the solution that they have on the cloud, mainly because they have investment that they've made in their previous ERPs, and they don't want to lose those. So in addition to that, on the other hand, we have Grow with SAP, which is where we're focusing today. And Grow with SAP is targeting a portion of those installed base, those companies who are running SAP ERPs, but they want to be disruptive. They want to start from scratch, start fresh, adopt those practices rather than keep those extremely customized processes that they had. And they also want a different time to value. They want something fast. They want something that can be implemented in weeks rather than months or years, right? And take advantage of this SaaS true SaaS cloud ERP qualities. Like SAP, for example, is maintaining your compliance, or SAP is maintaining your infrastructure, and so on. So let's double click on Grow with SAP and see what the main features are, how it can help you, and also what are the features and how we categorize them. And we come to this in three different categories. The first one, we are going to simplify every day's work, and we're going to help the users use the system better. Second, we're going to help you grow your business. And lastly, we're going to secure your success. So let's talk about simplification. How do we simplify the work? No? The first one, of course, is start with the end user and the front end, meat cooked, etc., etc. Behind that, they're going to see a lot of customization possibilities. We call them spaces and pages, where they will group those apps that are the ones that they use normally. They can also see most used apps and a few others. And finally, we're going to give them a role-based set of dashboards. And those are going to be, because they are role-based, they're going to be bringing to them the most important information in a very easy way to consume that are going to help them do the job and be focused on what requires their attention. But the simplification doesn't stop at the browser of their laptop. It goes beyond, it goes into any device. In this case, for example, we have there a cell phone, but also a tablet, any device really. And it also doesn't stop at the one user experience, because these days, especially when we are focusing that end-to-end process and that multi-cloud landscape that I was mentioning earlier, we want collaboration that I'm featuring here today is in the form of integration with other users, and in this case through Microsoft tools, for example Microsoft Teams, where we can share information from the cloud ERP directly with other users, and at the same time we can share it as a chat. Look, this is the information, this is what I'm working on, can you help me decide, etc., etc. Or as a tab, where the information from the cloud ERP would go into that Microsoft Teams tab, and we can work together, we can collaborate, and we can even change that information live in Microsoft Teams as we change it in the ERP. And lastly, of course, these days, as I said, we have artificial intelligence embedded. So I want to just cover SAP's take on artificial intelligence real quick. And we call that business AI, SAP business AI. We have three pillars above what we build our artificial intelligence take on. And we call that relevant, reliable, and responsible. So when content, always available, and responsible. And above those three pillars, we have three different layers. The first one is the one that I was talking earlier about, which are the embedded artificial intelligence use cases. And this really is AI use cases built on the business technology platform that I mentioned earlier that are included already in your best practices, in your processes. And this is not something, I know everybody went crazy with AI in 2023 and so on, but this is not something new to SAP. We have right now more than 250 use cases that are live in our customers working for live systems. In addition to those, that embedded AI, we have what we call Joule, the copilot. And I think Nishita is going to do a live demo later. And that is like having a super smart colleague next to you all the time. No sleep, no vacation. Perfect colleague. So that Joule is meant not only to help you execute your task fast and comprise the time that you have to, that it takes for you to create a PO, even create it for you. Just create this PO with this material for this vendor or a sales order. It's also meant to help you beyond the ERP. And it's also interconnected with other SAP solutions. Now, for example, Joule is live in SAP SuccessFactors. It is also live for S4HANA Cloud Public Edition in the early adopter. I think we are releasing it in probably June for general availability for everybody. And it will extend to the rest of SAP solutions. So your Joule is fed not only with all the general information that can be found in the internet, but your information, your data. So makes it more relevant. And in this case, Joule, for example, is connected to saphelp.com, which is going to help you ask any question related to the SAP ecosystem, SAP environment, and get you the answer. Lastly, of course, SAP is not an AI native company. That's not what we do. So then we partner with other customers, with other partners, the best of the best. Great technology is embedded in our systems. So this is how we simplify every day's work. Let's go now to see how we help you grow your business. And I want to start stating or restating that S4 Cloud Public Edition and Grow with SAP is a full-featured ERP. And yes, we created this solution rewritten from scratch cloud-native language in 2016, and it started with finance, sales, and procurement, what we call core ERP. But since then, we have expanded in many ways to many LOBs. For example, you see there service-centric, which is professional services, for example, and product-centric, which is manufacturing, for example, or supply chain. And at the end, as you see, we have the business technology platform, because as I said earlier, it is a way to extend those best practices while keeping the core clean. So picture this as a subway map. So you're going to have your subway lines, which are 1, 2, 3, that are going to take you from point A to point B. Is point B where you want to go? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe you want to go to point C. So you would take those best practices, those standard processes from SAP to take you to point B. And that last mile, those last few blocks that are going to be bringing you that competitive advantage that are your secret sauce, that's what you leverage BTP, Business Technology Platform, for. And this is how we extend those best practices to really anything that you need. And I'll go through our options to extend the solution in a few minutes. But this full feature does not stop at the best practices level. It goes also into the industry level. And as I said, we started with what we call finance-led, so it is applicable to all industries, that cloud ERP. But since then, for example, we have service industries like high-tech or banking. We have included wholesale distribution and agribusiness or retail. We have high-tech, milk products, industrial manufacturing, oil and gas, etc. So it is now available for 20+ industries as well. And even though this is what SAP provides, through BTP, I've seen many partners extending this solution based on that core ERP that I mentioned and extended it with their own IP, with their own solutions through BTP to make sure we bring hospitality additional functionality. So how do we also help you grow your business? We do it through innovation, because one of the qualities from Grow with SAP that should help you decide really is the innovation. SAP provides innovation, continuous innovation, and it does it with updates every month, just like the apps on your phone, and it also does it with big packages twice a year, which is the upgrades. It's February and August. And in those packages, we bring 1,000+ innovations. They're not going to be all applicable to you. They're applicable to different industries. They're applicable to different LOBs, but they are bringing new things. And for example, what I'm featuring here is the solution order. The solution order was released probably a year ago, and we already have many customers that are using it. And it is an order that allows you to mix in the same sales order, really, your product, services, subscriptions, projects, and many more. And yes, this business model already existed, and many of our customers that then adopted the solution order were already working that way, but they did have trouble to get one single billing, one single invoice out of the whole thing, or calculating the margin, or making sure the revenue recognition was properly calculated and it was actually correct by the product or by the service. So this, for example, brings you that kind of innovation that you can decide to adopt or not adopt, because the innovations come inactive, and then depending on what your interest is, you can adopt it or not. And move automatically. And it also going to help you grow your business geographically, because at this point, Grow with SAP and S4 Cloud Public Edition will help you have your business anywhere in the world. And we have two flavors for that. The first one is what we call SAP delivered localizations. We don't call them countries. Most of them are countries. And those are 59 countries where SAP delivers and maintains, meaning SAP is going to continue to make any changes in legislation, compliance, taxes, adjusting forms, reports, etc., etc. For the rest of the world, that are out of those 59, SAP will provide you with what is called localization as a service. And that is an SAP native tool that will let you copy any country, any of those 59 localizations, to then create your own country. You would create the country, then it's going to be a copy of the one that you decide. So probably you would choose whatever is closer, right? So it's maybe geographically, maybe language, maybe functionality. And then that localization, that new country that you just created, would then be extended for that taxes or reports, forms, anything that is that localization. And that will be part of the implementation. But really, this is the way that SAP provides full coverage on the solution. And we also help you grow your business through agility, ability to adapt. And that is by facilitating the way you make fast acquisitions or plan for divestitures or even have seamless reorganizations. And this is in the shape of what we call two-tier architecture or two-tier model, which is an architecture that would bring that main headquarters company, the heavy manufacturing company, and we keep it in a cloud ERP, and that would be private cloud, on-premise, even ECC probably, and then give them the ability to have the rest of the business on public cloud. And that could be just some quick acquisitions that have a separate template, the same type of company that you keep acquiring, or a business that is not the core business of that company, that is a separate business, or shared services like central procurement and so on. And this is going to allow you to take advantage of that fast time to value and the ability to keep that business separate. And yes, we could integrate those two. They're called two-tier best practices that would allow you to create a sales order in one of the ERPs, and that automatically creates a PO a purchase order in the other ERP, or keep it only for visibility. So if we want to have that headquarters that is leading the company have visibility over what one of these subsidiaries, for example, distribute, or so on. So this is how we help you grow your business. Let's go now to how we secure your success. We have two toolkits that are going to help you achieve that time to value, that are going to help this deployment be completed in weeks rather than months. And the first one is Accelerate for Grow with SAP. Accelerate is a set of tools, methodologies, and services that are, for example, I'm sure you've heard about the Digital Discovery Assessment, or SAP Cloud ALM, or SAP Activate, or SAP Baseline Activation Services. There are tools that are going to shorten the time in the initial stages of a deployment. So in this case, it's going to help you shorten Explore, where your partner is going to come and analyze your processes. It's going to help you shorten the Assess, which is where those processes are compared to the best practices to make sure we cover everything that you need, or to identify which parts of the process have to be extended through BTP. And it's also going to shorten the Realize, which is where you configure with additional values. Let's say you refine those best practices. So we do expedite the setup, optimize the scope, and then accelerate the deployment with predictability. Because not every organization is ready for this time to value. Not everybody has an IT department to deploy a new ERP in a couple months. So this is going to help you do that. And what we're seeing in the customers that are leveraging these toolkits is around 40 to 60% decrease in time to value and around 50% decrease in overall cost of implementation, meaning it's faster and it's cheaper. We also have a second toolkit that is called Embedded Launch Activities, EMLA. And that is a service from SAP that is going to bring you several one-on-one meetings with SAP experts at the beginning of your deployment to make sure everything is set up correctly, to make sure the mindset is the correct one, and we are all set up for success. And throughout your implementation, you will also have multiple one-to-many meetings that can be consumed live or can be consumed on demand that are going to make sure, let's consider them like quality gates. I want to make sure that you've done everything that you're supposed to do to keep that predictability fresh. So in addition to that, we have a way to extend the solution. So everything that I've said now has been for the best practices, for the standard content. Now we extend the solution and integrate the solution. And for the extension, we have multiple tools. Some of them are inside the ERP. And those are, for example, the in-app extensions. And those are kind of low-code, no-code functionality that with drag and drop, you could create custom fields, or you could create new reports, change forms, those type of things. The second one is called developer extensibility. And that is also in a stack, is the ability to write the good old ABAP in the cloud, but in pockets, in a way that does not disrupt the clean core approach. So you can still adopt all the functionality and the innovations that SAP is giving you. The last one, for the large extensions, large pieces of functionality that cannot be done through in-app or developer, then we have the side-by-side extension, side-by-side extensibility. And that's the one that goes through BTP. So you would build something big and connect it back into the core through the business technology platform. And it is in the business technology platform where we also integrate the solution. And we do that with native integrations. I think we have 750 plus. We do, for those that are not native integrations, we give you the APIs to connect and create your own integration. I think we have 700. And the ability to create your own API if it doesn't exist. And of course, when it comes to bringing information outside of the system, we have the CDS views. We have more than 6,000 that are they're a way to look into what they were called tables in the past. So those 6,000 CDS views will allow you to get to the data and extract the data, and even through, in that end-to-end process, feed the data into some other solution. One important thing, and also different from the past, is that the deployment, the relevance of the deployment does not stop at the go live. It goes beyond the go live in these SaaS solutions. So we also want to help you run with confidence. In this case, we want to help you run with confidence by managing your compliance, managing your infrastructure security, managing your user access, and providing that new innovation. And it comes in the flavor of hot fixes, which are once every 2 weeks. And those are what we call self-healing properties of the solution. We have once a month, and that come with minor innovations that comes because both those two are zero downtime. So as big as we can, we pack it in there. And of course, it comes into those 2 upgrades that I mentioned earlier, which are upgrades that come with 1,000 plus items. And of course, we have tools to help you narrow down which ones of the 1,000 apply to you and how to process them and what is the value. And we have a lot of communications, but it's important that we keep the eye on the continuous innovation, because that's where the value of some other tools, like the test automation tool that comes with SAP, come into place, because you will have a 3-week period of upgrades, and that's when you have to, let's say, regression test what you have and decide if you want to adopt any of the new things or not. Oh, good timing. And then you would ask, well, do we have, this is really good, do we have references? Do you have customers that are live, that they've done this, and they have enough expertise to talk to us and confirm this is something real, something we can touch? And the answer is yes, we have hundreds. In this case, I brought these three for you. The first one is 9.energy. At the end of last year, we went live in 10 weeks, which is 2.5 months, with finance in this battery storage company out of New York. But we also have WeFabricate, which is an industrial manufacturing out of the Netherlands. And we also went live in 2.5 months with procurement, sales, finance, and manufacturing. And lastly, a Smart Railway, another industrial manufacturing, in this case out of Germany. And in a little bit over 4 months, we went live with finance, sales, procurement, manufacturing for operations, and service management. Is it impressive? Who thinks it's impressive? I want more hands. Good. All right. So now that you know the value of growth, and I think I'll finish with this, I hope you agree with me that it's not impossible to solve all those issues. In fact, it's possible through Go with SAP and S4HANA Cloud Public Edition. Okay. And I'm going to open it now. I don't know if we have time for questions, Nishita. Okay. Any questions? Was I that good? Can't believe the whole thing is very clear. Okay. So,
I had one question.
okay,
In which case should we position S4HANA, or you mentioned RISE?
yes.
And in which case we should position Grow with SAP?
Great question. So I would say one of the big things, it really doesn't depend on the functionality anymore. It really comes down to the mindset of the company. I was talking about time to value. I was talking about adopting industry best practices versus running your own standard. I was talking about the clean core, and am I able to stay away from what is the value for me of running those lean processes to then adopt innovation. So it is more about adaptation versus adoption, and how is our willingness and ability to stay close to the core and do not make what we used to do. I mean, in the many years that I've been working with this, customizing the solution so much. So if you are on the best practices, cloud mindset, clean core, industry processes, and so on, then definitely Grow is for you. It's going to bring you fast time to value. It's going to bring you a lot of qualities after you go live. But if you cannot, then that's when we should look at RISE with SAP. And do not forget that we have that two-tier architecture to get to the middle ground. No? We can always keep the manufacturing and finance in this private cloud while we bring the shared procurement into the public cloud, for example. So I don't know if I answered your question. Okay, good. Thank you. Any other question? One more. Thank you. An easy one, please.
So your Grow platform is a commoditized ERP platform. So how do you articulate changes? You mentioned at least 2 times a year you're doing changes, which
yes,
very likely could impact business processes. How do you articulate those changes to business processes to your customers on Grow?
Yes, good question. Thank you. So we've been working on minimizing the impact, and we have done many things. The first thing has been for the first two deployments that I mentioned, which are the hot fixes collection, which has to fix bugs, let's say every 2 weeks, and the updates, which are once a month, is we do a green-blue approach, so it's 0 downtime, no impact. The other one for the upgrades that are larger deployments, we still do have certain downtime. I think by contract is 24 hours. I think we are right now on an average of 12 hours, between 8 and 12 hours. So what we do for that last one is we do a lot of planning. We bring a lot of communication to the customer. We have a lot of tools like the release assessment, I don't know, it's called RASD, release assessment something, which is going to be analyzing your system, what you're using, what are those processes that are either changed, new, or there are new processes, so therefore they are deprecated, your ones. And it's gonna tell you, this is your action list. So make sure you touch this on your test automation tool when you are doing your regression test, for example. We also have we call it What's New, which is a tool that's gonna tell you, first, it's gonna tell you everything that comes, and it's a beautiful to read 300 pages document, but it also comes in a easier to consume online documents that you can do your filters and see what comes there as well. And it also, I'm sure you've heard about SAP for Me, it's also embedded in all these tools in SAP for Me, together with the SAP Usage Analyzer that is gonna tell you, these are your red flags, right? So these are the things that you are touching that are changing, or these are the things next to what you're touching that are new and you may be interested in. And then, of course, we give you, I think we give you just 1 month, all that is happening before the upgrade happens, so you have time to say, okay, it's worth taking this, or this is not interesting for my business, etc., etc. And then once we deliver it, you have 3 weeks to make changes, activate new innovation, test, etc., etc. And it is also important to say that you also always have an SAP person, a contact person, who's very aware of what's happening, especially before those periods of upgrades, and will help you with any question and fine-tune anything that you have in your SAP for Me, because SAP for Me is now the one entry point for your interactions with SAP. So there is a person behind that that's going to help you process. Does that answer the question? Or you want something else?
Yeah, just trying to determine how you mitigate the risk associated with, especially with finance. If you're a public company,
Yeah.
You have a change to the business process that you're depending on from an accounting perspective. How you mitigate the risk of a change propagating through that possibly that you miss, that impacts those finances.
Oh, I see. I have to think about that one.
The 300-page document
Yeah.
does not sound very enticing.
No, that's just to, yeah. No, do not use that one. No, it is very, so when we deprecate something or change something, first is gonna be the communication. Second is gonna be that user analyzer, which is gonna tell you this has changed, and you have 1 month. But third, everything that changes has, let's say, enablement capsule, if you wish, which is documentation and a video on what is the new way to do it. So we don't do it for you, let's say, but you will have not only a month. For anything that changes deprecated, you will have, I don't know the timeline right now, if it's 6 months or a year, that you could still be running your previous process until you have to change. So that's the last part. There is nothing that, unless it's a software error, there is nothing that just disappears or changes without first warning and second overlap between the old and the new process. Hopefully I answered better. Anything else? Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Angel, for all those insights. Our next speaker is David Jayaraman. David Jayaraman, Vice President of Strategic Consulting at S2 Integrators, who brings a robust background with over 25 years in IT, including 15 plus years in program implementation and delivery. He holds expertise in both public and private sectors, managing large-scale SAP ERP implementations and upgrades, and is recognized for his strong project management and audit compliance skills, apart from his humorous nature. He's a pioneer in public sector implementation and also an advisory board member of Tricentis Group. It's also with a lot of honor and privilege we want to announce that S2 Integrators is also been recognized as the global partner with Tricentis because of all the work S2 has done in the field. So welcome, David.
Good morning, everybody. You are awake yet? I call Marvelous Monday. You missed the thunder. Monday is really a marvelous Monday. I do have a name for every single day. That's all about the energy, right? So Monday is marvelous Monday. I'm going to run real quickly. Tuesday is called Terrific Tuesday. And wonderful Wednesday, thankful Thursday, a fantabulous Friday. It's all about energy, right? It's all about how you think. It's about, is what we do in the ERP world and any world you can think. So we're going to talk about strategic excellence, right? And we're going to go through these three key topics. Extreme thinking. What is extreme thinking? Lots of questions you might be already having with your SAP, Grow with SAP. So we're going to talk about extreme thinking, what that means to you, and advisory partnership, who we are, right? And then the impact. And I really want to commend both my our sales director, John, and Nishita played a role. John, old is gold. But change is inevitable, right? Change is inevitable. And I thank Nishita explaining my background. I fell in SAP, love with SAP about 27 years ago. The very first public sector implementation ever done in North America by SAP is from us, state of Pennsylvania. From where we were 24 years ago to today, right? That's a change. 24 years ago, SAP implementation, Anil, as we know that, it takes about 2 years minimum, right? If you get a contract on a SAP project, you're good for 2 years minimum. Okay, that's what it takes to go live. But that's not the case any longer, right? We're talking about going live in 4 weeks. Impossible if you ask anybody, even me 24 years ago. But now, just like that. Why? Change is inevitable, right? Whether we keep up with the upgrade, whether we keep up with the latest or not, right? The change is going to keep on growing. How, as a customer, you're going to be making sure that you are tapping into the latest technology? It's not just tapping into the latest technology that you are investing, right? This is the biggest question that every stakeholder, every execs in the C-level, we talk about, what is my ROI? Return of investment. Yeah, I'm investing a couple of $1 million, right? Whole lot of workforce as a contractors and my employees and everybody. What is my return of investment, right? So think about all those things. That's where the extreme thinking comes into the play, right? So if you look at this, it's a beautiful tree. I was teasing Nishita yesterday that when she was putting the brown tree first, I was like, there's no life in it. Then she put all the green leaves, right? Think about all these things. This is Grow with SAP, right? The magic word today. Maybe I'm talking from SAP today. That's in my blood, right? That's in my blood. But that's the change. That's the change. Before you know it, the ERP implementation will be blink of a second, right? People will go quickly into the upgrades and into the brownfield or greenfield. What are we talking about? Anil did a beautiful job in going through all those modules in such a beautiful way with a magic word, AI, and artificial intelligence. You may not believe this, when I was a partner in a company, and my onboarding was done by AI. You may not believe this, right? Onboarding was done by AI. It took for a few seconds for me to understand, like, wait a minute, that's the AI. Because I saw there was no light in the eye. It's so real, right? AI they are bringing in. The human resources, we are talking about automated compliances. Compliance is a bigger magic word, right? Our S2 SME is going to talk about compliance today. It's a very important thing. Whether you're in a public sector or private sector, one way or other, you are subject to your regulation. Are we not? Right? A big word. How do you make sure, even from the human resource perspective and automated compliance, a talent intelligence? Those days are gone. People going through the paper, getting all the resumes, going through them one by one, and then finally they say, no, now it's all intelligence built in it, right? That's what we're talking about. And well, employee experience. It's all about phones nowadays, right? No longer the big monitors logging in, none of those things. We access things just like that. Mobile SAP came long back, right? Matter of fact, our difference using mobile SAP. We are going to talk about governance and risk and compliance, right? Because I'm from public sector. I'm almost 18 years in public sector with the 2 states and 2 federal. One of the prestigious projects I ever worked in public sector is Department of Defense. It was an honor to work for our military, right? The one who serves to protect us for our freedom. I was blown away with all the FISCM and all this regulation. We have all those things in SAP, but how do you make sure that compliance becomes simplified? It's one of those areas that you do not want to mess up with, right? Compliance is one of the things you just definitely don't want to mess up with. You can compromise on anything else, but not on that. How do you make sure that we have partners, right? So we have partners. We're going to talk about that. You might be thinking why this has to do with the strategic thinking, the extreme thinking. We're going to talk about that. Finance, intelligent finance. Again, the word intelligent you're going to hear everywhere. That's where the change is, right? Change is inevitable, right? Our SMEs and expertise, they're all standing by to show you what that intelligence is really for, right? So just go there and get the most out of it and go into the procurement, one of my favorite area, right? I was a procurement person. And where we have a whole lot of value-driven procurement, part of this Grow with SAP. Logistics, right? It's even the next level thinking on a nexus now, right? The completely next level. Way back what we did in 25 years ago for state of Pennsylvania, are with the private sector, right? We done with the private sector, many of them. Those logistics thinking is no longer there. It's all intelligent, right? Intelligent built in. The system's going to think for you, right? That's what the logistic is. Business technology platform, B2P. I never imagined those days from a system to connect. It takes 6 weeks, 6 months. You have to go through all those documents, mapping documents, and all those things, right? Now you have the BTP. Change is inevitable, right? Artificial intelligence. You're going to be here a lot from our sales lead, analytical lead, Nishita, talk about artificial intelligence. Like I said, you may not believe, you may already have some intelligence built with something, whatever you're using today in your home, in your office. That's basically where we are today, right? And data management. Many projects, many brownfield implementation can go wrong with one simple mistake. If you don't do the data migration right, it's going to fail you, right? If you might be getting a data from 20 different systems, some of them are SAP native, some of them are non-SAP native. With my closing, this is the team I'm introducing to you. S2 is your trusted partner, right? Not just simple integrator. S2 is your trusted partner. And I gave you all the reasons why you have to select S2 as a trusted partner. And
Strives
talk
for
to me right
perfection,
after
and
this.
under her leadership, projects have been delivered successfully,
Thanks again
making
for
her
your
a
time.
pivotal figure in driving customer success and operational excellence. Thank you, David. It indeed is a marvelous Monday today. For our final speaker, they call her my twin sister, but I would like to welcome Shweta Eluru, the Global Delivery Director at S2 Integrators, who excels in steering complex projects within procurement, supply chain, and finance transformations. When it comes to delivery, we find it easy to convince our customers, but not Shweta. She's in the evolving digital landscape. Welcome, Shweta.
Thank you, Nishita. Good morning, everyone. As morning. Thank you all for making it in time for our keynote. I know it's not an easy thing to come in Atlanta traffic, and we reach here in time to eat some breakfast and listen to our whatever we are trying to share the content. But Anahel and David have done a wonderful job. Anahel gave a peek into the product. David gave a peek into what comes after you select the product. So you have the product, you have the reason, but how do you take it to the finish line, right? You have to execute it. You have the theory, you have the strategy, you have all the tools, you know when to do it, you want to finish it, but how do you execute it to the core? That's where the delivery team comes into picture. Nishita said that the S2 team is afraid to convince me than the customers. Trust me, I take it as a compliment and I wear it as a tiara. And one of my best buddies sitting back in there, during our internal meetings, he always says that I'm a spy with an S2 integrator's email ID, logging into our internal meetings or daily stand-up. That's how closely we work with you all. So we talked about innovation, we talked about AI, we talked about accelerators, we talked about, you had a question for Anahel, like, when we go with Grow with SAP, how are we going to take care of the upgrades or the changes that they bring to the system? Or how we come to Grow with SAP from our existing platform. Friends, change is never easy, because when we go into a new product or making a new change into our life, it's not easy. So how we do it, we go with a phased approach. We work with you very closely. We'll understand your business processes. We understand your business, because irrespective of the application is seamless, it's good. We are bringing home in 3 weeks or 3 months or 6 months. But again, it's your business. We can put it in those generalized things, but how we do what we do in day-to-day activities, only you know, and it might be different from each organization to each organization. The kind of phased approach we bring is from, as David mentioned, it's a mature process with so much of experience that we bring from various industries, years of implementations, working with you all. We learn as we go in each project that we work with. So we give you that confidence and comfort so that you bring what is important for you first to grow to SAP. Coming from on-prem, coming from our traditional SDLC processes to the agility, to the adaptability and all, we try to make it as seamless as possible. In the accelerators that Anahel mentioned, it's been really, really matured compared to what we had even 2 years ago. S2 brings those accelerators which fit into your organization, into the processes. And how do we do it? Working very closely with you. And innovation, I think we are one of the few, I think we can count on our fingers, the partners who worked with SAP when BTP came into picture. We work with the innovation team very closely to have the integration done seamless with the existing ERP system to the applications that we are bringing to connect with it. So enough about all these technical terms, but you want to know exactly how we bring the differentiator when it really comes to implementation. It's the commitment we start with. When we sit with you, start with the extreme thinking, that is where the strategical discussions are made, how we go from top to down to the grassroots level, how we understand, how we work with each and every business user, end user, and also the strategic or technical partners that you have to work, or the vendors that you have to work in day-to-day operations. That commitment is so important for us. I can quote a couple of examples. I think our champions are already sitting there. I will not take the names, but we had one implementation in India. It was all, delivery was done from India itself. But there was a glitch, there was an issue that came from a vendor, which is working closely to the organization. We had the leadership team working at 3 a.m. EST time during the go live, making sure that, what should I say? That issue that we had, which would have put the go live in jeopardy, went seamless, and we went live on date, on time, and without any issue that they were able to use their system post go live. And we had another upgrade that we went live in the month of February. Our leadership team was there rooting for us the entire go live time for 48 hours in US, and another leadership key role person was sitting in US, so that the global team is working seamlessly and in sync so that it is delivered and to take it to the finish line. That is the commitment we bring to the table from the date of conception to execution, all the way to the finish line. And the important takeaway or important satisfactory thing that we do is when the go live is done, when the system is implemented, the handshake period that we have for you, and when we leave the premises, we want you to be comfortable enough to use the system to continue your activities without any glitch. And we, as David mentioned, not only just trusted partner, we want it to be your advisory. We want to be your go-to trusted personnel to say that, hey, we are doing this. Is it going to help us? That is the business value that we bring. Advisory, more than educated advisory than just influence you just because there's a application or a solution available for you, but it should fit into your organization. At the end of the day, the pride or the tiara that we wear as an S2 family is the customer experience and the trust that we gain after working with you. It can be a 3-week project or it can be a 3-month project. In the hall or in this conference, you may see we have people attending from S2 family, our trusted partners, Right Data, Tricentis, Audilink, and also our SAP. But majority of them are our champions, the customers that we have worked for here, who keep cheering. And on this work day, they came here to support us. That's the kind of commitment and trust we gain from them when we work with you. So all that said, there are so many pods available. Whatever Anahel has mentioned, whatever David has explained about each vertical, there are pods available on 3rd floor and all the 2nd floor. Please have an energetic mind to consume all the information that our expertise are going to provide you. And we are going to meet you at the tail end of the day. And trust me, you'll be very happy and pleased that you attended this conference. Thank you very much.
Well, that was great. Let's give a special round of applause for our 3 keynote speakers. They did a fantastic job. So we're going to break for 15 minutes. Sweat guys back on track. Thank you. And after that, we'll have our breakout sessions. So you guys can all refer to your agenda and see what interests you. Then from there, if you have any problems, you can stop and ask me, ask Nishita, or anybody else in an orange shirt, and they should be able to direct you to the right room and the right topic that you're looking for. But thank you all, and let's get this summit going. Thanks, everyone.
And just another thing, if we move to the next one, we have our agenda that's going to stay throughout till lunch. And you would find the floor on which these sessions are and also the booth number. The booth 1 starts from my right and goes on throughout the room. So please enjoy. And another one important thing that I did miss out, which I do want to call out, is that I want to thank all our live audiences that are joining our LinkedIn Live or our live link today. And we do have a global team, and a global customer. So we have everyone joining in. So we want to thank them as well. Yes. So thank you so much again for coming.